Lawyers, has the opposing counsel ever won the case for you? The defense attorney in a personal injury case spent 20 minutes arguing that my client couldn't possibly have been injured as badly as claimed, then accidentally played security footage that showed his own client deliberately ramming into my client's car twice while screaming out the window. This happened about 3 years ago during a car accident case. My client, Mrs. Rodriguez, had been rear-ended at a red light and suffered whiplash and back injuries. The other driver's insurance company was fighting the claim, saying their client had only tapped her bumper and couldn't have caused serious injuries. The defense attorney, this overconfident guy named Bradley Thompson, had built his entire case around the argument that the accident was minor and that my client was exaggerating her injuries for money. He kept calling it a love tap and suggesting Mrs. Rodriguez was faking her pain. Thompson had subpoenaed security footage from a nearby gas station, apparently believing it would show that the impact was minimal and support his client's story. He'd watched the footage beforehand, but somehow managed to completely misinterpret what it showed. During his opening statement, Thompson told the jury they were about to see proof that this was nothing more than a gentle bump between two vehicles. He said the footage would vindicate his client and expose my client as a fraud trying to get rich from a minor fender bender. When Thompson played the footage for the jury, we all watched his client's pickup truck approaching the intersection where Mrs. Rodriguez was stopped at a red light. Everything looked normal until Thompson's client suddenly accelerated and slammed into the back of her car. But that wasn't the worst part. After the initial impact, we watched Thompson's client back up his truck, roll down his window, and start screaming something at Mrs. Rodriguez. Then he accelerated again and rammed into her car a second time, even harder than the first impact. The footage clearly showed Thompson's client deliberately hitting Mrs. Rodriguez twice while appearing to yell at her through his window. This wasn't a case of distracted driving or an accidental tap. It was road rage captured in high definition. The jury was watching this footage with their mouths open, while Thompson stood there realizing he'd just destroyed his own case. He tried to stop the video, but the judge ordered him to let it play to completion since he'd introduced it as evidence. Thompson's client, who'd been sitting quietly at the defense table looking sympathetic, suddenly looked like exactly what he was, an aggressive driver who deliberately attacked an innocent woman with his vehicle. After the video finished, Thompson tried to argue that what we'd all just witnessed wasn't actually what it appeared to be. He suggested that maybe his client had accidentally hit the gas pedal twice, or that the camera angle was misleading. The judge stopped Thompson mid-sentence and asked if he was seriously trying to argue that his client had accidentally rammed into my client's car twice while screaming at her. Thompson had no response that didn't make his situation worse. During cross-examination, I didn't even need to ask Thompson's client difficult questions. I just had him describe what we'd all watched on the security footage. Every answer he gave made him look more guilty and more liable for my client's injuries. The jury deliberated for less than an hour and awarded Mrs. Rodriguez 3 times what we'd originally asked for in damages. They added punitive damages because Thompson's client's behavior had been so outrageous and intentional. After the trial, Thompson's client fired him and hired a new attorney for the inevitable criminal charges. Mrs. Rodriguez sent me a thank you card saying she'd never expected to win so decisively. Sometimes the best legal strategy is just letting your opponent talk long enough to hang themselves.